Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's another episode of LMTV and Tech for the Journey. And today we have Paul Smith and I are the co-host, and of course we have Casey back. Casey, I think you were on a night shift last night, right?
Uh, I was off last night, so I went to bed early so I could make it here this morning.
I knew there was something about you. You actually awake.
Well, that depends on your definition of awake.
Yeah, that's what we're here to find out, right?
So, Paul, what do you got to say for yourself?
Boy, that's an open-ended question.
Of course.
So, I have to say one thing. This will be a little off topic, but I read about this drone that crashed in the White House lawn, I guess it was, and for some weird reason, I thought about Casey and his drone. Yeah, there you go. You're the drone master now, so I have to go to you for advice there. But what was the story with that anyway? No,
It was
first of all, I
I
wonder why
don't,
the
you know, like I don't get the whole thing. You know, how can you possibly have something like that on the White House lawn? It would be like having teenagers in the house and all of a sudden discover needles in the bathroom.
Well,
Nothing,
it was actually, I think it
nothing
came
good
out
ever
that
come out of that, right?
it was an employee of the White House or someone related or tied to the White House, and he was out drinking and flying his drone, from what the media says, and he
Well,
crashed.
I think that's the problem with the White House. We're hiring the wrong people, starting from the top.
Well, what I found funny was the simple fact that someone flew a drone and crashed it in the White House lawn. So now we need regulations about flying drones, but yet they fly drones over our house.
This thing we're at the beginning of that. You know, this drone thing, I mean, it's fun and everything, and there's a lot of use for that, but we're really at the beginning. I mean, these things are going to get smaller, right?
Well, they actually, the military, if you do a little research, have some as small as like hummingbirds that are autonomous that just go out and scan an area before they can send personnel in.
Well, I mean, the technology scale, there's no limit to how small it can be, right? Because the camera itself is small. I mean, look at how small the camera is on an iPhone, and
I would think
iPhone is the
power
best
would be,
camera there is.
I would think power would be a limiting factor. How can you get the balance between you have to carry enough power to function, but then you have to haul that power around. Think of a battery or whatever. At some point, there's got to be a power limitation, I would think, but maybe
Well,
not.
I would think that the if you take the tire pressure sensors in tires, how do you charge the batteries? It's based on motion. So when the tire starts turning, it generates electricity, and somehow they'll, if they haven't already, incorporate motion into charging or generating electricity in the drones in the future.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so they're really
Well, I
autonomous.
mean, we can't make it infinitely small right now, but but just don't. Let's not even talk about the future. Just talk about the present. I mean, the present is already scary. I mean, what these things can do, where they can go, and how far you have a drone. How far can you fly that?
The basic model that I have is good for roughly a third of a mile, and I've had it up to 550 feet.
And you don't need the line of sight,
No,
right? I mean, you because you can see the video, you can pretty much just fly the sucker anywhere you want.
and you can actually take and invest a little more money into it and boost the antennas or put different antennas on it to get further range.
And is it the same frequency as our 802.11
It's
Wi-Fi?
5 gigahertz, 5 point
Uh-huh.
something gigahertz.
So when you're up there, you're away from the microwave. You know microwave oven. You don't have much interference.
And, and what I love about this particular model is it's an inexpensive model I say inexpensive, but it's a lot cheaper than what they used to be. But it will actually, you can program it before it takes off. You can actually tell it fly to certain areas and come back home. You don't even actually have to fly it. You just tell it go point A, B, C, D, and return home.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of an advantage, because I know that in the old days of radio-controlled airplanes, if you were flying and you got out of range, you could kiss your airplane goodbye. It would just keep going. But I guess drones, if I understand it right, can be taught to, if you're lost or confused or lose your signal, come home.
Yes, and if the battery drops to a certain percentage, automatically return home.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So maybe that drone at the White House was just coming home.
That, or the person was too drunk to set all the parameters before he took off.
No, wait a minute. He's a worker.
It's interesting.
Oh, hang on. So this is the guy. I just want to get the story straight. This is the guy who actually works at the White House, and he's flying an unauthorized aerial vehicle, and he's drunk while he's working.
From what I didn't say why he's working. That's just based on the media. He was intoxicated, flying his drone, and he's an analyst or something for the White House. He has some ties to the White House.
So this is now DUI is droning under the influence.
That'll probably be the next regulation. It seems we think we can regulate ourselves out of anything, you know.
But in your line of work, Casey, you ever people talk about that? Does your superior say, okay, from now on, you know, here's our policy. Here's what we're gonna do or is that still under the radar, quote unquote?
Well, it's still under the radar, but it's so new. Our laws are probably going to take a couple of years to catch up, and then you gotta ask yourself, if the state passes a law, how do they pass a law that will go hand in hand with the FCC or the federal regulations? Because at 500 feet and above in the United States is regulated by the federal government. Who regulates below 500 feet? You know, so there's a lot of question there. And secondly, you know, there's laws in place that state that you can't have any unlawful surveillance, or you can't be peeping in somebody's windows. So if you take and you use a drone to perpetrate one of these crimes, there's laws in place that can be enacted that they've never had to be used for a drone.
You know, I travel a lot, and I noticed that this year, and so what's interesting is just to see the technology as I travel, going back to kind of the technology theme. And so it's interesting to see how personal electronics changes over time, and of course these days, especially when you travel anywhere where there are tourists from China, it's iPhone everywhere, right? It's just iPhone, and it's a big one. And it's interesting that it's not just iPhone. These guys would carry big size iPad as a camera. And it's really annoying because every once in a while you sit in the audience, there's some kind of activities, dancing or whatever, and you sit in the audience, instead of just watching, everyone have the iPad up. And of course you can't see shit because and you can. I don't need to see through the iPad. Come on, guys. Okay, so that happens. That's really annoying. And last year, the most annoying things are these selfie sticks, and it's like they raising the, so you're walking around and people, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then there's a stupid thing sticking in your face because they're trying to take a picture of themselves. I can just see drones being another personal electronics that people use when they travel. I can just see going down to
each. They do vacations. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Why carry a stick around and have to worry about a stick when you can now just have your drone follow you around and take pictures of you doing whatever you're doing, right? I mean, there's some things on the internet where guys are out riding their motorcycles off-road somewhere, they go off and they do these dirt bike things, and a drone following them around, taking all these pictures of them jumping off jumps and, doing wheelies.
I think that's going to happen. That is just going to happen, right?
And I challenge everyone that hollers, it's invasion of their privacy. I challenge them to go look at Google Earth and see how much they can actually see that's already out there about their property and this, that, and the other that you can easily already pull up without a drone. So I don't think it's an invasion of privacy because everything's already out there. People take photographs of themselves and their property and put it online, but then get offended when a neighbor flies a drone and it's 250 feet in the air and it captures their property, and they want to get mad about it.
Well, I think that's interesting. But I think there's more than that. I think there's a slight difference between invasion of privacy and invasion of personal space. I think now you're invading my space, right? You're actually flying shit in front of me.
Well, what is your domain? I mean, it's an interesting comment because it's very cultural, right? Some cultures you don't come within 5 feet of me. You just don't do it. We don't shake hands. We don't hug. Other cultures, we're very physical. We hug. We shake hands. We kiss on the cheek, whatever. And drones are kind of an extension of that, right? Some places our privacy is our yard, and maybe it's my yard. But if you're sitting there peering over my fence at what I'm doing all the time, I'm not going to like that a whole lot. And then it extends now to
Casey. How much is your drone?
The basic model is roughly $1,100.
Okay, that's a savior. It's a little too expensive just yet. Paul and I can't justify yet. We're kind of at the $150. We're a $150 man.
Well, but if you think about it, you can do the same thing with the smaller, inexpensive ones, just not at the distance that you can with the model I have. Because people have gotten the smaller ones for this past Christmas, and they're videoing going up high and video their property as well as, and that's the other thing, Paul. If I'm flying over my own property at 400 feet, because of the height, I'm gonna get my neighbor's property, but I'm over my own property. So am I in violation of somebody else's privacy while flying and recording over my own property?
And that's a really good point. How high does it go? I mean,
what
is the privacy? Is it a cylinder, whatever, a box that extends up from your ground up 500 feet? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. But you raise a good point. And Google's already got it anyway, so what the heck?
Well, and so that's the reason I think that our laws are never going to catch up with technology, because technology moves a lot faster than our government. We can agree on that, right?
Yeah, well, that's not a big challenge.
So therein lies the issue. By the time they make a law to cover this, these will be outdated, and they'll have something new that they'll have to make a law for.
No, that's absolutely true. Hey, I wonder, Casey, do you think, I'm sure these are used in law enforcement some, how long before they're just common in law enforcement, where every patrol car has a drone, and he can fly it around the corner in somebody's backyard and do a little reconnaissance before the guys go in there with their guns drawn to see what's going on.
Well, and that's a very good point, and that's something that I've actually thought about. And what about that property where you get that alarm call, but it's gated, and you don't have the gate code, and the homeowner's not at home? So how do you check the property? How do you get up there to see with, let's just say in my area, it's not uncommon to have a half a mile long driveway. So how do you get up there?
I should have gone to law enforcement. You have a drone, you live in a neighborhood like that? Wow.
Well, we do still have some country out here, so.
Okay.
It is a good tool for that, or like you said, to be able to take an assessment. Let's just say you got a hostage situation, and you need to get an aerial view quickly, and a helicopter's 30, 40 minutes away, where it takes 2 minutes to get a drone in the air.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. I wonder now, too, those people that have the gated things, the people who protect their privacy, celebrities or whatever, how they're going to feel about this. Are they going to have one of their security guys have a shotgun to shoot them down? I mean, how's Kim Kardashian going to like it if she's bathing nude by the pool and a bunch of drones are flying over taking
she would like it. That's how. That's her business model. That's her business model. I mean, she has her own fleet of drones.
But my argument of because that's what I've heard from a lot of people. You fly it over my property, I'm gonna shoot it down. Well,
That's an important part. But even as a law enforcement, even as an officer, I mean, at what point can you shoot it down? I mean, at what point is it actually affecting your line of work that this would, shooting down a drone is now a reasonable force?
I would say no. I would say, do you shoot helicopters that fly over your property now?
No, I'm talking about no. I understand that, but I'm actually a lot less concerned about whatever goes on 500 feet away from me. I'm more concerned about 5 feet.
Right.
I'm more concerned about when these things actually get down to to be about the kind of sort of the consumer price, somewhere in the neighborhood of $200-300, and they're small enough, and people will bring them into Starbucks, right? Mm-hmm. and just fly. I don't know why they would do that, but I never understood selfies neither.
That's true. I can't picture that either, Denny. I mean, why would you want to take a drone into Starbucks or any place like that? It's one thing to want to get an aerial view, a bird's eye view of, let's say, a baseball game. You're out at your kid's baseball game, and you want to fly your drone. I don't see an issue with that. I've actually contemplated and thinking about asking the principal. My daughter graduates this year. Can I fly the drone and video record her graduation? Mm-hmm. You've got different viewpoints, and that's the whole thing. Is we've got to have this conversation because it is out there, and you can walk into Verizon and get a nice little Parrot drone for under $300.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Yeah, you raised a good point about the public events, the graduation or your kid's soccer game or whatever. I used to take with the long lens and take still photos of my kids' sporting events and put together slideshows and all. Boy, if you had a NFL quality, flying view of what was going on, that would be very cool. Really
how about when you take your granddaughter to the park and she's old enough that she wants to do something on her own, and you say, okay, well, let me follow you with the drone. I mean, how does that work?
Well, they actually have one, and as Paul brought up, battery is an issue right now, but I can see in the future them overcoming that. But the Inspire 1 has come out this year by DJI, and it can be synced to your phone and be programmed to follow your phone. So your phone's in your pocket, and you've told the drone to follow 10 feet behind and 15 feet in the air, and so it can be told to follow you.
I think there's a business in here somewhere where I should be able to like shoot these things down with not shoot it down with a gun, but shoot it down with the remote, and then there's a good business in selling recycled drones.
Oh, scramble the signal, hack the signal, so you can set it off somewhere else besides over your yard. I wonder, the baby thing is a cool idea. You hinted at, Denny. So maybe you give your granddaughter a little bracelet, like a Fitbit bracelet that it's pink and it's got a picture of a pony on it or something. So she thinks it's a toy, but actually it's the homing point for a drone. And then you let her go play in the park, and you can sit there on the bench and have a beer and relax, and this thing is going to follow her around the park and take care of her. I can see this happening. some lazy geek dad doing that.
The same lazy geek dad that just give her his iPad, thinking that will shut her up.
Yeah. Are you thinking of someone in particular when you said that?
I'm speaking from experience, actually. Every once in a while, every once in a while, I actually talk about things I have done.
It's a real life experience, okay.
No, actually, it's very exciting technology. It actually really is. It's the right place at the right time, right? Because you have the everything comes back to your cell phone, right? I think that we will find this is really just the beginning, And
you've got different viewpoints on it. I've heard some say that only government should have drones or have access. This shouldn't be sold to the public. You know, whereas you got the same argument about guns. Some people believe only government should have guns, and everybody else should have hammers and bats. I don't, you know, at what point, where do we draw the line?
I don't think that it will be regulated. I don't think the government. I mean, it's not like we have a government that is very efficient right now.
Well, that would be the other thing, Denny,
Yeah.
that needs to be brought up. Let's just say they do regulate it. Who's going to enforce those regulations? Can your local authority? Will they have the manpower and the resources to be able to?
Well, the problem is that how do you regulate? We don't see the harm yet. I mean, we don't even know what this thing can do until.
Well, we know it can crash into the White House lawn.
There's no harm in that. I'm sorry.
Other than a little bit of grass, it's not really a big deal, right?
Yeah, come on. I mean,
well, I mean, there is harmful stuff going on. I mean, they're finding them using it to smuggle drugs, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Catching drones coming across the border with drugs. So they're already
listen, if you can smuggle drugs, can you not deliver with drone?
Sure. I mean, Amazon can do it. Why couldn't someone else, right?
Yeah. I mean, it would just happen at the same time when marijuana is legalized, and so there you go.
Then it sounds like if Amazon's ready to use drones to make deliveries, then it sounds like they've overcome the power issue.
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. They show pictures of them delivering, reasonable sized packages. They don't say how much they weigh, but and I imagine they don't go very far.
I would make the argument they haven't solved the whole problem yet. I mean, where's the drones going to come into my house? Now I got to figure that one out. But that will happen someday. Hey, listen. So Sunday is Super Bowl, right?
That would be tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow is Sunday. That's cool. What's the policy on drones? I mean, let's just talk about that.
I wonder if they'd be, because there's actually some high-tech companies that put jammers around, or I've seen some YouTube videos where companies put some external jammers so you can't fly or penetrate their building. So you got to be careful where you fly and make sure that they're not running some form of Wi-Fi interference.
So NFL is basically using honor policy right now for they just basically said don't do it.
I would say so because I'm venturing to say that most of those stadiums are going to have Wi-Fi. So if you're inside, who's to tell you can't fly it?
Yeah, because you can't jam. I mean, it's a open frequency. You can't jam open frequency because once you jam, everything is jammed, right?
I'm sure.
I wonder about some hotels got in trouble recently because they were jamming people from using their Wi-Fi hotspots. So you would pay the hotel money to use their Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I made it to court, and the courts ruled they could not do that because they were trying to force people, instead of using their own internet, to have to pay them to use their internet.
Right.
Are you sure that's what it is? I for some reason I didn't read the article, but I thought from what I read on the headline, it's more like when you go to a hotel, you normally get the internet free if you plug it into a wire outlet, and so what people do is that they work around that by creating their own hotspot. So they're taking something free and make it more free.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's what it is. I think it's the case is that because usually some hotel and most hotels just got away from that now. They just decided that the only way they make money is sell porn, and they only need to sell about 3 minutes of that, and so that's really the money making. They just give everything else free. But some hotel does still kind of say, well, if you use the Wi-Fi in your room, we have to charge you. But since we said on the advertisement that we have free internet, you can go ahead and plug it in. That would be free, right? I think that's
okay.
I think it's more like if you create your own hotspot.
Well, where I was going with that is if I was thinking they were doing some sort of jamming, and if that was the case, then you could probably jam a drone too. But maybe that's not what was going on. So
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure you could. I mean, any frequency can be jammed with the right amount of power. I mean, it's just a matter of who's going to take the time to do that. I mean, you can do a research and find some high power jammers that will jam cell signals. I'm sure that's the reason you see when the president comes into town that cells drop down or drop off near about to nothing. You know, who's running the jammers then? So I'm
I
sure.
don't. Yeah, I think on the 5 gigahertz you can. It's not practical to jam because that's everyone uses that. Everyone uses that, right?
just take down too many people.
Yeah.
Well, if it's possible, jam the sideline communications at a football game. You know, Bill Belichick is working on it. So
But if you walked in with a drone, I think that you would have to sneak it in. I think they would stop you at the gate and say you can't.
Yeah. So this is the one where the guy said, "Are you happy to see me, or is that a drone under your pocket?"
throw it in your pocket.
But like you said, Denny, as technology gets smaller, we're going to see these get smaller and have the same capability.
Well, what about instead of uncontrolled personalized drone where it becomes anarchy? What if NFL were going to say, well, we're just going to fly, half a dozen drones around, and you pay this additional feature that you can pay so you can watch these different viewpoints free. I mean, that would be a business.
That would.
Yeah. Well, you wonder. They have a camera now on the wire that they implemented that goes around, and they kind of cleverly keep it out of view, and most of the time gives them some really great close-up pictures from different angles. You wonder though that on a wire it's unlikely it's going to fall off. Or if they do it right, it's not going to get hit by a punt or something like that. But a drone, that could be awkward if it loses power and lands on the field, or a punt hits it and brings it down.
And I think that's where your business
serious.
is going to be at, in insurance, drone insurance.
Now you're talking. Yeah.
Denny, let's get it started. Let's start selling.
Well,
Some cowboy.
I think that should be part of Obamacare.
Oh, you think everybody should pay for it?
Yeah, I think that should just be part of Obamacare. That if I own a drone, and I should be covered. It's my right.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, right? Why not?
Just add it to my cell phone bill.
Well, that would prevent drone repair places from being filled up with indigent people asking for free drone repair that you and I end up having to pay for. So that's good.
Okay, we're getting even more silly now, and the sun is coming up. What do you think?
I thought that's a wrap. That's great.
Okay, well, listen, I'll be off for 2 weeks. If it's okay, so we'll come back on. I forgot what date it is, but anyway, I need to be off for 2 weeks. Turns out that it's getting close to Chinese New Year. There's a bunch of activities at the temple, and I need to be there on the next 2 Saturdays.
Can I fly my drone there?
Can you bring your drone to the temple?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not? I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere. I'm too tired.
It's too early to find it, though.
So I can look up the calendar. I think it's the 5th or something like that, right? February? Is that okay?
Well, let's see now.
Yeah.
Next is the 7th. Is that right?
No.
I think next
No, it's not the 5th. It's not the 5th.
Yeah, next Saturday is the 7th, and then the one after that is the 14th.
And then after that is the 21st. So it would have to be the 21st then.
Well, I'm glad to see y'all know your math.
Yeah. I didn't even. I actually did that in my head.
Well, I only know incremental math, so I know how to add 7. Turns out. Okay, yeah. So see you guys on the 21st then. Okay.
That's great.
We'll have something.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Okay. Happy New Year. Thank you.
And have fun, Denny.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
If I can find my mouse, I can stop this. Oh, there you go.